What is going on, Lancers? Welcome back to the Style of Gaming. I recently released a video offering 8 easy quality of life changes that Bioware could implement to save Anthem and make hardcore and casual fans alike happy with the current status of the game. Well, patch 1.0.3 dropped Saturday the 9th and brought with it some great quality of life changes and some major balances and buffs greatly requested by the community. While the patch definitely didn't address all of my concerns, which I couldn't reasonably expect them to, I am overall satisfied with the experience thus far delivered in the new patch. I'm excited to see where we're going to go with the new patch in 3 days, but today, join me as I briefly break down some of the highlights of this patch and offer one more suggested fix that I'm honestly super pissed at myself for skipping over because of how important it is. 1.0.3 brought a lot of changes Lancers really wanted to see in the world of Anthem. Most notably, the patch removed respawn restrictions and added timers to all events in the game. Definitely a different approach than how I had suggested to address the downtimes in my previous video, but I'm definitely going to live with it for now. You no longer will sit infinitely in the down screen with the critical notification, but now have set timers for respawn. When in legendary contracts and strongholds, you'll have a 30-second timer before you can respawn and get back in, and 10 seconds for every other world event. I think this is, again, a temporary fix to the fact that sometimes we can't resurrect down Lancers, and it's definitely a pivot in the right direction for user satisfaction. I think there's going to be a more permanent solution that comes, but again, I don't think that they've quite addressed why sometimes the UI prompts don't come up when some people are down after your entire squad goes down. I'd still like to see a spectate option for when I'm down, even in that 30 seconds, just to view what my partners are doing in the fight. One of my favorite elements of the patch is that they updated the Fort Tarsis UI to allow launching of expeditions from anywhere in Tarsis. I really like this fix because the quick ready menu was one of the greatest benefits of playing with friends, because I could just casually converse with the Tarsis NPCs while waiting for your squad mates. Now, this makes you getting kicked to Tarsis as a result of a load error less painful because you always start in the Lancer Hall rather than having to make your way all the way back up to your Javelin. I'm also incredibly happy to see that loot has finally been addressed, because getting common and uncommon gear drops at pilot level 30 was definitely a slap in the face and a complete utter waste of my time, not only in the drops themselves, but having to sift through at the end of every expedition and break all those down so they don't clog up space in my inventory. You know, I personally don't think that there's really, the drop rate is too bad. I mean, this game still needs to have some grind. It's a loot shooter. You can't just expect to be given every single weapon in the game, but people are complaining that it's still not enough loot. Maybe I've just been very lucky, but, you know, I don't know if this patch actually adjusts any of that, but we'll definitely see where it goes from here. The patch also addresses weapon damage for a lot of masterwork weapons and gear. For me, I'm super pumped to see that the Last Stand autocannon received a damage increase. But go ahead and check out the full patch notes for a detailed list to see if your favorite weapon was buffed. Again, 1.0.3 addressed quite a few gripes and supposedly managed some stability issues, but you know, I had just as many game crashes and boot to Tarsis events the day that the patch went live just as much as I did the previous day. One game mode that it doesn't quite deserve its own category for me to gripe about, but I'll just address it here really quick, is still how broke quick play is. Because of the fact that there's so many bugs with the UI and the way that quest marker objectives happen in the world, progression of missions is still janky, and as a result, loading into quick play missions is a total gamble. More than half of the time, it's either crashes my game entirely or results in me loading into a bunch of Lancers flying around with no objective markers and no discernible time that the game is actually going to resolve its issue. It's honestly just one of the big problems with this game. It's just a super time sink in general with grind, but it's even worse when you waste your time by just actually loading in and not being able to do anything. I'm really hoping that this might be something that's addressed with the patch that's coming 3 days from now. However, make sure that you do check out all the patch notes for 1.0.3 over at Bioware's website, because there's a huge laundry list of fixes, including enemy status changes, damages, buffs to components, etc. and that I'm not going to outline here. I just wanted to capture some of the biggest points, some of the best points. But after addressing the great things of the patch, I did say that I wanted to make an amendment to my previous gripes of the game. And it's honestly something I cannot believe that I didn't tell you, but I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about it now that I have the chance. Tip number 9 to fix Anthem and save this game would be some form of tactical damage mitigation while firing in combat. Now, this could be dealer's choice. Anything Bioware would like to choose would be anything for the better. You might be asking, what do you mean by tactical mitigation? Like many of the best third-person shooter games I've played, tactical mitigation has always come in the form of left to right shoulder change, push to cover defense, or some form of crouching mechanism in general. There's just absolutely no mechanism for this in Anthem, and I seriously doubt we'll see a push to cover system because that would require new objects, hit detections, and animations for all the javelins to many major surfaces in the game. But a crouch option or even a shoulder shift would really diversify the battle landscape for the better, in my opinion, for all game formats. It's just a tactical option outside of the dashing, the hovering, and the flying, which I know is the bedrock of the game, but I think it would be just an easy implementation and really shake up the atmosphere of battle and kind of be relative to, you know, the myriad of great third-person shooters that has come before this game. But that's it, guys. That's my brief coverage of 1.03. That is just a quick amendment to my gripes that I feel that could be easily resolved that would make Anthem the great game that it is and make it even greater. Thank you so much for tuning in, Lancers. If you haven't already, again, please subscribe. I appreciate all your support, and I look forward to seeing you out there in the world of Bastion.